The Beating Heart Horror Audiobook Script. Intro. Welcome to tonight's audiobook. Turn down the lights, relax, and listen closely. This is a dark psychological horror story about obsession, fear, and the sound of a heart that refuses to be silent. Let the story begin. Story. You may think I am mad. Many people have said that about me. They say that only a madman could remember things so clearly, speak so quickly, and tremble so violently when telling a story. But they are wrong. Madness destroys the mind. My mind, however, has never been clearer. In fact, I believe my senses are stronger than those of ordinary people. I hear things others cannot hear. I notice small movements in darkness. I feel the quiet breathing of a room when no one else does. So, listen carefully. You will see that what I did was not madness. It was careful planning. It was reason. And it all began with the old man. The old man was kind to me. He had never insulted me. He had never harmed me in any way. We lived together peacefully for many years. I even loved him, in a way. But there was one thing about him that I could not bear. His eye. One of his eyes was pale blue, strange and cloudy. It reminded me of the eye of a bird of prey. Whenever that I looked at me, a cold fear spread through my body. I felt as if that I could see inside my mind. And slowly, day after day, the idea grew inside me. If the eye disappeared, the fear would disappear as well. Yes! That was the moment everything changed. I decided that the old man must die. Not because of anger, not because of hatred, but because of that terrible eye. And so I began to prepare. Every night, exactly at midnight, I slowly opened the door to the old man's room. Very slowly. So slowly that the movement could hardly be seen. It took me nearly an hour just to open the door wide enough to place my head inside. Then I held a lantern, but the lantern was covered so that only a thin line of light could escape. I aimed that narrow light directly at the old man's eye while he slept. Night after night I repeated this ritual. One night, 2 nights, 3 nights, 4 nights, 5 nights, 6 nights, 7 nights. But each time the eye was closed, and I could not do it. You see, it was never the old man himself that I feared. It was the eye. Without the eye open, there was nothing to destroy. But on the 8th night, something changed. The night was darker than usual. Even the wind seemed to whisper softly through the house. I opened the door more carefully than ever before. My hand moved slowly, gently lifting the lantern. Suddenly, my fingers slipped against the metal latch. There was a small sound, a tiny click. And this night, it was enough. The old man woke instantly. "Who's there?" "Riesberg." I froze. I did not move. Not even a breath escaped my lips. Minutes passed. Then now, the old man remained sitting in his bed, listening to the darkness. I knew that feeling well. Many nights I had done the same thing myself, listening to the silent world, waiting for something terrible to appear. Then I heard it. At first it was soft, very soft, a small rhythmic sound, like a watch wrapped in cloth. Tick, tick, tick. It was the beating of the old man's heart. The sound grew louder, louder. My excitement became unbearable. The beating grew faster, louder, louder, louder. I was certain the neighbors would hear it. I could wait no longer. With a sudden movement, I threw open the lantern and rushed into the room. The old man screamed once, twice. In a moment, I dragged him to the floor and pulled the heavy bed over him. The heart continued beating beneath the bed. For a long time, slowly the sound faded. Finally, it stopped. The old man was dead. A great silence filled the room. I smiled. My plan had succeeded. But my work was not finished. Before morning came, I carefully dismembered the body. I removed the floorboards beneath the room and hid everything below them. When the floor was replaced, no one could see a thing. No blood, no evidence, nothing. Everything was perfect, or so I believed. Just before dawn, there was a knock at the door. 3 police officers stood outside. A neighbor had reported hearing a scream during the night. I smiled calmly and welcomed them inside. I showed them the entire house, every room, every corner. Finally, I invited them into the old man's bedroom. To prove my innocence, I placed chairs directly above the hidden floorboards. We sat and talked. Minutes passed. Then something strange began. A faint sound reached my ears. A soft rhythm. At first, I thought it was imagination, but it grew louder. Tick, tick, tick. My heart raced. The sound became stronger. Surely the officers must hear it too. But they continued talking and smiling, The noise grew unbearable. Louder, louder, louder. Sweat covered my face. The room felt smaller. The officers still spoke calmly. They must hear it. They must. And then I understood. The sound was not in the floor. The sound was inside my mind. The beating heart of the old man echoed through my guilt. I could not bear it any longer. I leapt from my chair and screamed. "Stop pretending. I confess." I pointed to the floor. "Lift the boards. Here, here." It is the beating of his horrible heart. And at that moment, the silence returned. Otro. And that is the end of tonight's story. If you enjoyed this dark tale, consider listening to more classic horror stories tonight. And listen carefully. You never know what sounds may be hiding in the silence.